Right on, guys. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Crisis Corner. This is Freedom Faction, and I am going to be going over the Zika virus and how it is an aspect of the depopulation agenda. I don't want people to kind of get the wrong idea, because this is obviously something that is very serious. People are actually dying from this case, and I'm not talking about microphilia or microphaly, or I'm sure I'm pronouncing it probably wrong in some way, shape, or form. But this is an actual virus that is killing people off. And this has actually been, kind of planned to some degree. And I'm going to be going over some of those facts in this video. So with all that being said, guys, let's jump straight into it. So the basic story that we're getting as far as Zika is the fact that it's being transmitted by mosquitoes, it's being transmitted by insects, it's pretty much just running rampant all over Venezuela, Brazil, the South Americas. It's in a southern humid area, and it's pretty much an outbreak that it came from nowhere. Well, and this is what I really want you guys to understand, and this is why it's good to have facts to understand where everything is going. This is a virus that has been created as a biological warfare tool. It's being used to depopulate us, and that's why we see it in South America, in other places, and now starting to creep its way up into the North America, is because it's meant to not only scare us, but also essentially wipe us out. And the reason why I'm saying that it's meant to scare us is because back in 2002, we had the West Nile virus. Everything was crazy, scary. Oh no, 2006, we had the E. coli virus, and that was wild. Everybody didn't know what to do, blah, 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 blah. 2012, we had the scare with the bird flu. And then in 2015 and 14, we started to hear more and more about Ebola. So all we're really seeing now is the reiteration of the depopulation agenda in effect with the Zika virus. But what people need to understand is that this is usually where these things typically come from, is the idea that they develop vaccinations, air quotes, and then with that they create some kind of genetic or some kind of hybrid disease. This is with this specific strain of the Zika virus. It is a mutation or a genetic modification of a strain that has previously existed. Right now, the U.S. government actually has a patent on an Ebola variant. So that's what we're seeing right now. And I'll get into this because you can actually purchase this particular Zika strain, or at least a strain of the Zika virus, at atcc.org. And that's showing you that it is a man-made, in fact, disease. And if they're able to sell it, well then, reverse that idea. They have to have a cure for it, This is thinking in the common sense aspect of a normal human being, someone that obviously has compassion, someone that obviously wants to help their fellow man. Well, this is also why we don't have the cure for cancer. We are now seeing that cannabis oils and all kinds of other alternative treatments can cure people in their sickness with cancer. Chemo is actually showed to rapidly degrade people. So to flip it kind of on its spine, to get back to point, what I'm trying to get at is there is no money in cures. Doctors would have no jobs. Science would stop. Cancer research foundations, charities, all kinds of things would stop. Big pharma would stop if they supplied a cure. There is more money in killing us. And that's the reason why I got this guy right here, Bill Gates. Okay. You know him as the guy that created Microsoft. So what? Now he's an elite. I understand that. He comes from New Mexico. He's a big wig guy. He's very, very fancy. I don't really care. He's one of the people that have also talked about doing away with old people, killing off old people, or at least making space for more people.
Now, we put out a lot of carbon dioxide every year, over 26 billion tons. For each American, it's about 20 tons. For people in poor countries, it's less than 1 ton. It's an average about 5 tons for everyone on the planet. And somehow we have to make changes that will bring that down to zero. It's been constantly going up. it's only various economic changes that have even flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation has four factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero, and that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. New vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
So do you see how it all comes from what he considers a place of loving? A place where he thinks he's trying to offer us help. As he said, vaccines will help lower the population by 10 to 15%. And if you know anything about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they're pretty much right up there with the Rockefeller Foundation, one of the people who are founding or sponsoring this kind of research, these kinds of diseases and cures being put into place. This is all part of a plan. This is all part of the depopulation agenda. What they're trying to do is start in third world countries where people won't think about these types of things, where they won't look at the bigger picture. I mean, you yourself just now saw how he's trying to get the population down. He sees it as some kind of bad thing. He has an equation for it. He needs to get the population down by our carbon emissions. And what's happening in Brazil, I mean, or at least where all these things are happening. The virus needs a humid place to grow, right? So I kind of want to go off of the research of a man named Jim Stone, a lady named Kathy Ford, and another man named Jim West. They wanted to kind of talk about how the virus is it's a twist into a fake story. That what you're hearing right now is just another one of the HIV, West Nile, swine flu, SARS, and Ebola cases. And what it's usually blamed for just an illness and the death that arises from other causes. But the Zika virus is now being blamed for the birth of babies with smaller heads and impaired brains, and that it's been around for decades. It's been around since like the late 1940s and the early 1950s. And then suddenly, without warning or reason, after inducing at best mild illnesses, it's producing horrendous damage. Well, that's whenever you need to start looking at it as a clue. Like I said before, what we're being told is that this is just some crazy old case of, birth defects. It never happened. This didn't happen normally or naturally. And what we're really now starting to see, based off of this research, is the radiation from Fukushima now starting to hit the U.S., now starting to spread across the globe. Okay, what we're not being told is that the Zika virus has been around for, like I said, more than 70 years, and one in 5 people have been infected with it. But the only reason why we're seeing a huge burst of it now is because of that evil man, Bill Gates. He came through back in 2015, and you can see it. He set up shop, and then he started to go to. Whenever I'm saying that he set up shop, understand that I'm not saying Bill Gates is out there in the jungle doing his thing, trying to infect the population, killing us all. What I'm trying to say is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was caught in 2015 working on genetically modified mosquitoes, working on these creatures that could essentially spread the infection. And the whole claiming that he had prior to it, Bill Gates, or at least the foundation, is that they were trying to help fight the infection. They were trying to help fight the spread of it. They were trying to get away from everything, But of course, as things naturally do happen or seem to continuously keep happening, it did the exact opposite. It made the infection worse. As I said before at the start of this, you can buy the strain of the Zika virus right now, or at least a particular strain of the Zika virus right now. But what this does is it creates a genetically modified or probably drug-resistant disease. Over 1 million people in Brazil have been infected over the past 8 months. 4,000 babies now have shrunken heads over the past 4 months. This is a superbug, literally. How do you combat this? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Other than having a phenomenal health system, making sure everything you have is taken care of. What it seems like to me, personally, is a combination of the two, is a result of the Fukushima radiation now spreading, as well as this genetically modified mosquito merging or even dominating the pre-existing naturally grown mosquitoes there, and then creating some kind of, like I said, superbug. And as I said earlier in this video, the fact that it could be a combination of the radiation spreading and that it is actually coming from Southern America into the Northern Americas. We already have a confirmed case of it in Georgia. And this is supposed to scare people, or at least make people worried, up until they can find some kind of vaccine or some kind of solution for the next year or two to stop getting pregnant, to stop having sex, to stop populating the earth. More along the lines of that depopulation agenda. I mean, I had posted about it earlier, or probably sometime last week, but they're having soldiers in Venezuela go door to door, knocking out leaflets that inform women and pregnant women about the Zika virus and what it could do to babies and to these people. But like I said before, I feel like it's more than just that. This is a way for them to implement medical martial law to some degree as well. I think it's very sad that we have to see, this kind of behavior, or that we have to see this like being the result of or just seeing this played out, that they're piggybacking off of birth defected children to try to implement martial law or to advance their agenda. Like it's sickening to hear it and to see it. It blows my mind. Like Brazil to send 220,000 soldiers door to door to teach mothers about mosquitoes. That's insane to me. And may God help these people, because that's insane that we have to even deal with this. And the fact that they can send troops on the street, because like I said in my broadcast earlier today, Paris, we see that happening. There's 2,000 troops on the streets of Paris because of the state of emergency. Now, because of the state of emergency in Brazil, as well as in Puerto Rico and Venezuela, we're hearing about soldiers being put on the ground because of a disease. Just like the war on terror, this is a war against an immaterial thing, the war on the virus, where they'll get more and more money and more donations to something that really isn't even the source of the problem. And I'm not saying, I know the answer. I know that this is not the Zika virus. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is look at what they're weaponizing this disease for. And as I keep trying to reiterate, this is for the depopulation agenda. They are trying to kill us. Bill Gates himself says he needs to get the population down. This is a case of sexually transmitted Zika, okay? In Texas. The reason why I'm not going into this article is because I'm trying to move past it to keep showing you how it's growing and now how it's trying to find its way here. Either the pandemic or the actual fear-mongering disease. I'm not sure, but it's now manifesting itself here in America. Think about how it's contracted. If it's contracted through, sex, if it's contracted through bodily fluids, if it's contracted through air, we're not sure. This is a mutated strain. It is now here in America. So before we start talking about, solutions and whatnot, what do you think they're going to do? Who do you think is going to be the champion in trying to figure out everything? You guessed it. It's Bill Gates. It's this diabolical man that helped start this whole problem. I mean, he's already begun his research in India. And that's really what I want to try to knock home for you guys, is for you to understand the same way that they did Paris, for them to come up with a problem reaction solution real quick. The good old-fashioned Hegelian dialectic shows you that this is a clue of them trying to do this, that this is orchestrated by them. The fact that they have a vaccine so ready and quickly just shows you that this is planned. This is a race-specific bioweapon. Okay? There's a reason why it's supposed to hit certain populations and hit certain people. It's insane because they're trying to have it mutate. They want to get us to where they can give us these vaccines. And you know how bad the MMR shots are. You know, you keep hearing about children that just wake up and have all kinds of deformities or birth defects, or kids that come out of the doctor's office and they don't talk again. The reason why I keep trying to drive it home that Bill Gates is at the heart of this is because he's the one that helped start this chaos. 48,000 children in India have been paralyzed by Bill Gates' polio vaccine. Think about that. This man's over here killing people. He said it himself. If we can get the population down with these vaccines, that would be fantastic. Okay, we literally have psychopaths running this world, guys. And the reason why I'm making this video is because we need to get the facts out there. Look at the source of this. Look at who's funding it. Look at where it's all coming from. Bill Gates, the Rockefeller Foundation, and pretty much Satan himself. Okay, that's what I got for you guys. It's only the truth. Did you like what you hear? Did you want to get more information? Did you guys want to talk to me? Because I understand this is all very, very heady stuff. Email me. I'll have it in the description bar below all this. And as always, it's great hearing from you guys. I love talking to you. And you, like I said, shoot me a message, shoot me a text. As always, guys, stay vigilant. And don't forget, expose lies and share truth. This is Noise Era, Freedom Faction, out.